All right, now, if a prison inmate was released early into your neighborhood because the jails were overcrowded, how would you feel? Would you be concerned? Would you be frightened? Would you go out and buy a gun? In the next 6 months, 27,000 inmates could be released, and the Riverside County Board of Supervisors is saying, protect yourself. The supervisors approved a resolution urging the sheriff to consider granting concealed firearms permits to residents who cite personal defense as the reason for wanting one. Chairman Jeff Stone said these prisoners are dangerous people, and the sheriff can only do so much. So by releasing prisoners, more people will be allowed to carry concealed weapons. Debra, could allowing people to carry concealed weapons because they're terrified be a good thing?
No, it'll be a debacle. When the gas prices went up here in Los Angeles, people started riding mopeds and motor scooters. They started getting motorcycles and getting their license. Accidents went up. Injury went up because people weren't doing it because they wanted to do it. People were doing it because the fear of gas prices. And we're driven by a fearful society. There are other things you can do. You can get security systems. You can get alarms. You can get, and there are so many different security alarms and so many different security systems and so many different lighting systems that you can get that go on and off with timers. It's ridiculous to think that you are now should be able to police your own self. And I really believe that gun shootings will go up. Not only that, but keep in mind, it's a concealed weapon. So if this weapon is concealed, there's no saying that a thief who's been out longer than you, a robber who's been out longer than you, a rapist, a murderer who's been out longer than you won't take that from you and end up killing you. And I think that's something you should be fearful of more than people who feel like, well, once they get a license and once they get the permit and once they've carried a concealed weapon, that they'll be able to use it in any given time of fear. We're already a fear-driven society. Fear can actually make you end up injuring yourself more than doing the right thing. And you know what? We are not police officers. We don't have the time, the attention. We don't have the ability, the psychological and the emotional aspect to be able to feel like we can either shoot someone or protect ourselves and police our own selves.
Ron, Debra almost took the whole 2 minutes. Is this a prescription
she has
for
a way
disaster?
of doing that, you know. The fact is that most of these people don't have any training and skill. I talked to a probation officer today, retired, who has a right to carry a gun, but as an officer, she had to face training every 3 months. She had to go through knowing how to handle her weapon and carried a weapon on the job and dealt with these people and thinks the release of these 27,000, the first wave of what will be 50 or 75,000, many of whom are dangerous criminals, is an incredible law enforcement problem. There aren't enough cops, and it's going to be chaos. But giving us permission to, get into shooting battles with them can only make it worse.
How would you feel if you went to college and they told you you were too fat to graduate? I'm serious. You weigh too much. You're not getting a diploma. Well, that's the way it works at Lincoln University. If your body mass index is 30 or above, which is reflective of obesity, you've got to take a fitness course that meets 3 hours a week. If you don't complete the course, you don't graduate. You could argue it makes students healthier. But is that the responsibility of the college, Ron? Should kids not be allowed to graduate?
He never would have gotten through school, I mean, he was always kind of fat. It's really ridiculous. It would be one thing, I suppose, if they had it as an entrance qualification that you had to be fit. But why not do genetic testing about those who have proclivity to life-threatening diseases at an early age? Or cholesterol tests or any other kind of test. It's absolutely the most invasive and terrible idea that anybody's come up with. It's just ridiculous to, at graduation, hold people up who have met all the requirements, have all A's, but they can't control their weight. Does that disqualify them from being an intellectual, a writer, a scientist? I mean, it's a pathetic response to a problem that should have been dealt with all through the college time of getting people into physical activity.
Deb?
You know what? I completely agree with Ron. Another thing is, yes, we have a very, very difficult time of policing ourselves when it comes to food. We are one of the most obese countries of many. And it's embarrassing, and it's a shock that people know better, but yet don't know better and don't do anything about it. I'm actually ashamed that it happens to be a primarily black university in Pennsylvania. It pisses me off to no end to feel like there is this fascist idea that because we can't police ourselves, we're doing it for the good of our students, which you are not. They'll have many difficulties in life and many different challenges in life, one of which will always be them making their own individual and personal decisions about how to live their lives. So giving them the information is one thing. Alerting them to the information is another thing. Teaching courses and classes is another thing. But to withhold graduation is absolutely ridiculous, and it is shameful. Even though I know personally my people have a difficult time in policing themselves when it comes to food, still, this is a shame as an American.
All right, Deborah, Ron, always spirited. Good job. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir.